Hey, welcome to the Reddit time. What is something about yourself that sounds totally made up but is 100% real? Let's see your stories. I was the best man on both sides of a lesbian wedding because I had dated both the bride and the bride, stayed close friends, and introduced them to each other after our breakups. You, sir, are a true bro. Yeah, he may not be a girl, but he was the best man they ever dated. I was at a store when Tony Hawk was signing autographs. I was only 10 at the time and was a huge fan. One of his early video games had just come out. The store had a couple TVs on the wall and some video games to play. Being a kid, I waited for one controller to open up and someone leave. A kid ended up leaving and I grabbed the controller and started playing and minding my own business. A couple minutes later, the store wanted to grab photos of Tony playing his own video game. He came over and grabbed the second controller and began to play multiplayer with me. Probably played for 10 minutes. The bonus was it was also my 10th birthday, so I played Tony Hawk Pro Skater with Tony Hawk. I've published 4 peer-reviewed scientific papers on hamster testicles. Edit. Holy shit, I never thought I would write this, but rip my inbox. I'm currently working on a critical COVID-related project which doesn't involve testicles and thus would be much less exciting for editing purposes. This reminds me of a column I read in the Dallas Morning News 20 plus years ago about the woman who was the first head of the insect zoo at the dinky little Natural History Museum. She had been a biology major and into bugs and was working in a lab when a friend found out that the museum was looking for a director for its new bug zoo. She got a phone interview with some museum bigwig who asked what she was currently doing. She replied, "I've been dissecting female mosquitoes to find out if they are virgins." He replied, "You're hired." A pelican engulfed my head with its massive fucking beak when I was a small child. Pelicans are cunts. Pelicans. Haven't lived around pelicans. I can confirm this. Also, I'm sorry, I know that must have been dramatic, but I'm laughing so hard right now after reading this, because I'm imagining a pelican trying to eat a child's head. Like, I'm actually in tears from your comment making me laugh so hard. I won 2 TV game shows. The 10,000 Pyramid won $10,300 in 1975, and Sale of the Century was in the show for 9 days, won $34,000 in cash and prizes in 85. Nice, I've never won anything in my life. I got ran over by a car, but the driver didn't see me and proceeded to back over me. Edit. Thanks for all the kind words. I'm shocked at the amount of people who said that this happened to them or someone they know or knew as well. The world really is a weird place. And for all who are asking, my legs are perfectly fine now. On a side note, I actually really enjoy running, it's one of my favorite things to do. No, I'm not from China, nor have I ever lived there. I'm American. I don't quite understand why people are asking this. Edit 2. A couple of Redditors have pointed out to me that it's because killing someone in China is apparently less expensive, which is a horrifying thought, but thanks for the explanations. Is he dead? No. Throw it into reverse. I took my mother for a surprise trip to New York City. She got married to my father there in '68. The surprise was manufactured by way of telling her we were going to Australia. We live in New Zealand, so a trip to Australia is not a huge deal. It's the type of thing you could do for the weekend. And therefore she packed a bag and brought her passport. We got to the airport and said, "Surprise, we're going to New York," and she cried her eyes out with delight. When we arrived on our first morning, I said, "Okay, what do you want to do?" She said, "When I was last here in 1968, the Twin Towers weren't complete, so I'd like to go to the top of them." "Your wish is my command," I said, and off we went to the World Trade Center. That was the afternoon of the 10th of September 2001. Suffice it to say, there was a particular poignancy when we looked out the window at around 8 a.m. the next morning. At age 50-odd and with limited to no video game experience, my mother completed Mario 64 before I did, in about half the time it finally took me to do it. My brother is 31, I'm 19, and when he was born, his grandfather, we don't share the same father, bought him an NES. My mother, not knowing what to do with it, turned it on and played Super Mario Bros. She spent 2 months every day trying to beat the game, even buying a strategy guide to go through it. She beat the game and never touched a video game again. My mom bought my brother and I a Sega, then every night after we went to bed she would play Sonic. As a kid I thought she just loved playing games. As I got older I realized she only did it so that when we asked her for help she would be able to. A few years ago, for her birthday, I got her a Sega with Sonic and Sonic 2. I bought everything from the Sonic Edition Sega, just the box, no special skins back then, and everything that came in it. I spent months getting every individual piece including the books, and I had to buy nearly everything separately because they aren't exactly producing them anymore and people didn't exactly stock up on them as collectibles back in the day. By her birthday I had it all assembled, some of it nearly in tatters due to age and wear and tear, but I did it. She loved it, and then about a month later I saw the full set in near pristine condition for sale on eBay, not her or hers, and for about a tenth of what I had paid to assemble my mom's tattooed set. Still the favorite gift I've given. When I was a kid, I woke up to find my cat giving birth to her kittens on my pillow, 1 inch from my face. I took it as a compliment. It totally is. That's like the Cat Congressional Medal of Honor, right? If a cat closes its eyes around you, it means it trusts you. But if it fucking births kittens inches from your face, you must be like family. I'm related to William Henry Harrison, the president who died from hypothermia because he wouldn't wear a jacket. My great-grandfather and his son both died from hypothermia as well, but under slightly different experiences. I have almost died from eating way too many vitamins, jumping into a ceiling fan and jumping from a cliff. My dad almost lit a gas station on fire. Basically, we are very dumb bloodline starting from William Henry Harrison. When my mom was in grad school, she took several labs where she worked with cadavers. Because my dad worked nights, she often had to take me to class with her, and she'd usually just plonk me down on the table with a cadaver while she worked on it. "Can I go to work with you?" Oh, my dead body. I bought a guitar amp from Brett Whitford of Aerosmith when I was 17. He and Steven Tyler served up cheeseburgers for me and my friends. Edit, as requested. So Brett's son was a punk and I knew him from the scene. I was in a band that had some small local marginal success. This is 97-98 in Boston. I needed a new amp for our first US tour, but had very little money. I was getting drunk with his son, and on a whim, I asked him if his dad had any amps laying around that he didn't need. We laughed and carried on partying. The next day, I get a call at my home. It was Mr. Whitworth himself. He was super nice but to the point. "My son says you got a band and need a good rig for your Les Paul. I have something in mind for you. Just gotta have my guy get it from the warehouse. Come by my house in Norwell this weekend and check it out." That was the gist of the call. Obviously, the whole band came with me, and our roadie. We get to his house and it's totally him. So weird. These guys were like gods in Boston. I wasn't the hugest fan, but knew him from his work with Wine's World. He takes me to one of his garages where there is this cool full stack. The brand is Bedrock, an old company from New Hampshire that made good quality amps in the 80s. This one was custom made for Brett. Basically Marshall components. 4 tubes. All the knobs go to 11. Not kidding. Still has the property of Aerosmith stickers on it. He plugs it in and rips a crazy solo on his Les Paul and then hands it to me and I play a couple power chords. He asks for $300 for the whole scene. I pay him and he tells his son to give us a tour of the house. This is where shit gets nuts. It's just like you expect. Tons of gold records, platinum records, pictures of him with people like John Lennon, Robert De Niro and Joey Ramone. Then we get to see his studio and the largest collection of Marshall amps in the world. Seriously, like 200 caps, a wall of guitars. Guitars so pretty and amps so cool. It made sense for him to find the one he sold me dispensable. After the house tour, he told us to meet him at the little bar and grill they own in town. When we get there early and he arrives 30 minutes later with motherfucking Steven Tyler in tow. "You guys the punk group?" He was so nice. They went in the back and came out with burgers for us all in the house. Then they straight up left. Irish goodbye to even. I still have the amp. I used it on the road for almost 10 years in 5 bands. Now it's just a conversation piece, but it still works. I crank her up every now and then. I can't look left, seriously. I'm not an amber looker, it's like the Zoolander of birth defects. It's called Down syndrome and my left eye can't turn left, so if I try to look to my left I see double. Growing up, my parents raised me to believe it was a party trick and not a disability, so I would always show it off to friends, which in retrospect I think was pretty sweet. Edit. My mom discovered that something was off when I was a baby and she was doing the airplane motion with a spoon of baby food to the left. My left eye was not cooperating, lol. Edit 2. Fun fact, now that I'm in my 30s, I can see in photos that there is a bag under my right eye, but not under my left eye, presumably because I use my right eye far more often. Edit 3. I'm so excited to see there are so many fellow Redditors with Joannes and I'm not alone. I've never met anyone else who had it, so it's really nice to hear from people who know what it's like. Edit 4. A lot of you have asked about driving. It didn't impact me mainly because my mom taught me how to use my mirrors, first by turning my head before even letting me turn the car on for the first time. She walked around the car and we tried to identify my limitations. I also have a blind spot detector on my car now, which is super helpful. I try not to totally depend on it, so... Edit 5. Here is a photo. Husband and I fell in love at first sight, moved in together after 2 days, married 5 months later, still married. It will be 40 years in May. Congrats in 40 years. That's amazing. I want to find love like that someday. I ran out of gas outside of La Paz, Bolivia. Luckily, it was downhill for about 6 kilometers into the city. I coasted the whole way on my motorbike, passed buses and drifted into a gas station. Never missed a beat. Sounds like you saved a liter of fuel to me. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you sharing your valuable time with me today. Do you have anything about yourself that's hard to believe? Write in the comments down below. Also subscribe to my channel, give me big thumbs up and see you in the next video.